Hello, so this is going to be a lore reading. Just see what we learned, basically by going around collecting all the quests for, well, the initial quests for Act 3. Centurion's Cuirass. In the 435th year of the Tevinter Imperium, Archon Almadrius built a summer palace for himself near the Eyes of Nosen. The palace was considered one of the great wonders of the world, and many of Madrius's jealous rivals hatched plots to burn it to the ground. To protect his palace, the Archon stationed 100 soldiers on permanent guard. These centurions were sworn only to the service of the Archon himself, and their oaths sealed with blood. The reign of Almadrius ended in violence, and his successor, Tidarion, converted the palace into a garrison for his troops, fighting the insurrections all across the Imperium. Amidst the Bedlam, centurions maintained their watch. They eventually fell in battle, but their oaths held in their bodies rose again to take their posts. When Tidarion's reign came to an end, the Magisters fought amongst themselves for 20 vicious years before they crowned a new Archon, and when Parthenius finally took the throne, he found that the palace and its guardians had vanished. Not a single stone remained of the Nosen countryside. Some say the Centurions, faithful to oaths, carried the palace away brick by brick and rebuilt it in a distant land where it would be safe, waiting for an Archon to lay claim to it. From Impossible Tales of the Imperium by Hendrik of Cumberland. Rivain. Nowhere in my travels, not in the heart of the Imperium, nor the streets of Orzammar, have I ever felt so much of an outsider as in Rivain. Chant of Light never truly reached the ears of these people. The years they spent under the thumb of the Qunari left most of the country zealous followers of the Qun, but resistance to the chant goes deeper than the Qunari War. The Rivaini refused to be parted from their seers, wise women who are in fact hedge mages, communicating with spirits and actually allowing themselves to become possessed. The chantry prohibition against such magical practices violates millennia of local tradition. From my pursuit knowledge, the Travels of Chantry's Card by Brother Janet TV. It is kind of curious that they managed to maintain the seers for so long, given his well, one being Andrastian for however long. I mean, admittedly it's possible that the Andrastianism that came there wasn't possibly started well before the circles became prisons, but the fact that so many people were converted to the Qun, as far as they managed to maintain the tradition of the seers, given what the Qunari think of mages and in particular and spirits in particular possession. And also, it seems like this is a bit of a contradiction in the lore, because I got the impression that when someone became possessed, the spirit and their soul pretty much merged into one, so it wasn't really possible to separate the two. History of the Chantry, Chapter 4. The crowds present at the death of Andraste were right to feel despair. It is believed that the prophet's execution angered the Maker, and he turned his back on humanity once more, leaving the people of Thedas to suffer in the dark. But in these dark times, mankind scrambled for light, any light. Some found comfort in demonic cults that promised power and riches in return for worship. Others prayed to the old gods for forgiveness, begging the great dragons to return to the world. Still others fell so low as to worship the Darkspawn, forming vile cults dedicated to the exaltation of evil in its purest form. It is said that the world wept as its people begged for a savior who would not come. Andraste's followers, however, did not abandon her teachings. When she died, the cult of Andraste rescued her sacred ashes from the courtyard in Minrathous after her execution, stealing them away to a secret temple. The location of the temple has been lost, but the ashes of Andraste served as a symbol of the enduring nature of faith in the Maker, that humanity could earn the Maker's forgiveness despite its grievous insult to him. With time, the cult of Andraste grew and spread, the chant of light took form. Sing this chant in the four corners of Thedas, it is said, and the world will gain the Maker's attention at last. As the chant of light spread, the cult of Andraste became known as the Andrastian Chantry. Those who converted to the Chantry's beliefs found it their mission to spread Andraste's word. There were many converts, including powerful people in the Imperium and in the city-states of what is now Orlais. Such was the power of the Maker's word that the young King Drakon undertook a series of exalted marches meant to unite the city-states and create an empire solely dedicated to the Maker's will. The Orlesian Empire became the seat of the Chantry's power. The Grand Cathedral in Val Rayo, who the source of the movement that birthed the organized Chantry as we know it today, Drakon, by then Emperor Drakon I, created the Circle of Magi, the Order of Templars, and the Holy Office of the Divine. Many within the Chantry revere him as equal with Andraste herself. The modern Chantry is a thing of faith and beauty, but it is also a work of necessity protecting Thedas from powerful forces that would do it harm, where the Grey Wardens protect the world from the Blights. It's the Chantry protects mankind from itself. Most of all, the Chantry works to earn the Maker's forgiveness, so that one day he will return and transform the world into the paradise it was always meant to be. From the Tales of the Destruction of Thedas, by Brother TV Chantry Scholar. Characters. Anders, the last 3 years after his attack on Ella, Anders lost interest in the cause of the Mage Revolution. He did? Hence he was no better than an abomination. Anders was determined to gain mastery over the spirit inside him or die trying. It is increasingly apparent that he is losing the struggle, prone to wild mood swings between deep melancholy and manic determination. Anders has again taken up the mantle of Mage Freedom, though it is unclear whether this decision came from Anders or Justice. Aveline, the last 3 years. Thanks to the champion's actions, Aveline and Donnac Hedir were married a year ago in a simple ceremony on the Hawk estate. They honeymooned in Orlais, the only time that Aveline has visited the country of her namesake. The pair has since settled into a happy marriage, although she remains his captain and he her guardsman. Aveline now strictly divides her personal and private life. She is no less driven to keep her guardsmen safe, but Donnac provides another perspective, and she is now giving her guard the authority that they need to truly serve Kirkwall as a force for law and order. The guard has never been more respected. This brings its own challenges, however, as some among the Templars would prefer that the guard be under their direct command. Three years ago, after confronting Hadriana, Fenris learned of his long-lost sister. He has spoken little of it, though it clearly still preys on his mind. He has not left Kirkwall to pursue the matter, remaining in Daenerys' mansion, even though it is common knowledge in Hightown that a friend of the champion lives within. Fenris finds his high profile in the city both intriguing and alarming. Over the last year, he has spoken more than once of leaving Kirkwall for good, if not for the debt he owes Marion. He would likely already have moved on. As for the night Fenris and Marion shared 3 years ago, he refuses to speak more on it. However, it's clear he has not forgotten, although any lingering feelings remain unresolved. Whether that will change remains to be seen. Meryl, the last 3 years. Everything I do, everything I've done, was for the good of my people. Meryl spends more and more of her time locked away in her house in the alienage with her mirror. She leaves only to buy food, which she does so rarely that Varric has taken to having produce delivered to her door. At least she no longer gets lost as she wanders the city. Sebastian, last 3 years. After his confrontation with the Desire Demon Allure, Sebastian had a crisis of faith over breaking his priestly vow. It was to pursue worldly power. In Starkhaven, he questioned his own motives, worrying that he wanted to retake Starkhaven for his own personal power, not because it was the right thing to do. Trusting Starkhaven's fate to the Maker, he returned to the Chantry, but was turned away by Grand Cleric Elthina, who believed he had not yet committed fully to either course. Though he has not renewed his vows or returned to his duties as a brother, Sebastian proved a faithful servant to the Grand Cleric over the past 3 years. As Kirkwall grows ever more turbulent, the Grand Cleric relies on Sebastian to be her eyes and ears in the oft-dangerous secular world. Whether he will again devote himself to the Chantry or return to Starkhaven is anyone's guess, though Sebastian was heard saying he will not leave Kirkwall as long as both the Champion and the Grand Cleric need him. Varric, last 3 years. There's power in stories. That's all a story is. The best tales, the ones that last. Might as well be mine. Varric saw Botrand settled into a sanitarium just outside Kirkwall run by the Chantry. He then took up the mantle of House Tethras officially. However, according to the updated official Kirkwall Merchants Guild documentation, the family businesses are run by non-existent uncles, aunts, cousins, and household pets. Letters and notes. A crumpled note. Gamlin, I found the gem of Karashek. If you want it, come to Darktown. And no notes. Alright, and that's it for this one. Thank you for watching. Do any real things with YouTube's buttons, and have a nice day.